I've never experienced the winter meetings. I'll be able to talk about it on the show on Tuesday, this show, and it'll be great. And about 30, 45 minutes into the drive, Justin calls, right? Then the news drops, and then all hell started breaking loose because I'm driving in the middle of traffic, like 70 miles an hour, 75, 80 at times. You never know.
You're making good time.
And it was literally the most chaotic time of all time because I'm like, oh my God, what do? I need to record a video. Should I turn around and head back to studio? Should Alex and I get into studio? Should we record a podcast? Should I keep driving? What should I do? So I get on the phone with everybody and they're like, just record an audio only little quick emergency pod. So on my way down to the winter meetings, I pull over. The first spot I see, which happens to be a rest stop at Camp Pendleton.
Yeah.
I pull over and I start recording this episode, and there's tanks just going by like 10 feet in front of me with machine guns and guys on top. And I'm like, oh my God, this is madness. But in the end, the chaos amounted to Justin signing with the New York Mets for 2 years, $86 million with an option for a third year, vested option, which means if he pitches a certain amount of innings, the option will kick in. But it was just madness how the day began.
And he couldn't give you a little bit more of a heads up? So not just like a 5-minute, hey, it's about to drop. Here we go. Get ready, brother.
So here's how we talked the night prior, right? So there was this Carlos Baerga report that came out that said sources are saying 2 years, and he pretty much got the numbers right on the nose, but it wasn't true. At the time. I talked to Justin and I said, hey, is this true? And he goes, no, not yet. So then we're talking that next day and he goes, hey, I was on the phone when it dropped. Like I don't know how it came out as fast as it did, but I was still like confirming things when it came out. And so he told me and we talked for a while, and man, just the happiness on his face, which I'm sure is a bit of relief. Like, we're coming up on the holidays. I'm sure it's nice to just have it done and out of the way. You know where you're going. You're making $86 million. That would put a smile on my face.
Oh, yeah.
But, I did. I asked him because I was literally getting ready to pull over to record the emergency podcast. And I was like, hey, like, why the Mets? Aside from obvious, it is a lot of money, but he could have gotten a lot of money many places. Why the Mets? And he goes, well, to be honest, the future of the Mets is in such a great position. The direction over the last couple of years that the Mets have been heading is something that I've noticed from afar, something that I took a liking to and wanted to be a part of. And the commitment to winning there, everybody within the organization, he's heard nothing but great things about the culture there, both on the field and in the locker room. And the people that they've brought in, the people that Steve Cohen and Billy have brought in to make this a winning environment. And it's no secret, right? They've been close for the last couple of years. And I've been the first one to say, stop saying it. The Mets aren't going to Met.
But they did.
They have been. And I've continued to be wrong. And the people that say that same saying that's been saying for years, they end up finding a way to be right. The Mets won over 100 games last year, and they found a way to be right because they get swept by the Braves and then lose in the first round of the playoffs. So they've been right there, but close. And I think that's another part that Justin mentioned is I want to be the guy to come in and help this team win. And I want to be a leader on this team that's full. There are young guys. There are leaders already. I want to come in and be one of the leaders of this team and help the team win. And I think it's a perfect fit. I think once Jacob deGrom went out the door, they had the money and the need, the big time need. And they filled that void. You lose a guy in Jacob deGrom, who's one of the best pitchers in the planet, and you add a guy that's a 2-time champion coming off a Cy Young year. The last 2 years he's pitched, he's won the Cy Young Award. So that's the kind of guy you're adding in New York, and I think he's proven age is just a number, and there's not a lot of guys that can prove that. Nolan Ryan, Justin, and what Tom Brady's doing in the NFL side of things, I think they're all in the same sort of conversation.
Now, the Mets were first in the NL East for majority of the season until the very end. But now, obviously, adding your brother as a piece, does this make them, once again, the favorite in the NL East?
Oh, this is tough because I think when you look at the National League as a whole,
Yeah.
I think there's pretty clearly teams that are favorites. Dodgers, Braves, Mets. And I would say right now, as the team sits, right? And they're not done.
Yeah.
The Mets aren't done. I would say right now, you can't say the Mets are the favorite because you lose a guy like Jacob deGrom and you add a guy like Justin. Does that immediately make you better than the team that has won the division the last few years? No, I think they're pretty much neck and neck right now in teams. I wouldn't say they're the overwhelming favorite, but I don't believe they're done. And I believe by opening day, I could be saying, yeah, the Mets are the team to win the NL East. But right now, I still think there are holes on the Mets team. I think there are holes at the bottom end of the lineup. I think there's a clear need in the bullpen. You have Edwin Diaz, the best closer in baseball. You have two of the best starters in baseball. I think they could afford to add a starter. But there is a big need from how do we get to Edwin Diaz? And I think that's going to be really important. And come opening day, depending on what they do, I could be saying, yes, the Mets are the favorite.
Now, we know that they're not afraid to dish out the money and pay the money. They have an owner that can do it. I mean, just between your brother, Justin Verlander, and Max Scherzer, the Mets are paying them $86 million in 2023, just two players. Now, when you compare that to the Braves, they're paying 7 players $74 million in 2023. So when you look at the scale and you say, yes, they could afford to add another starter. Yes, they need the bullpen to get you to Edwin Diaz after a couple of those big name starters. Are they going to be able? I mean, yes, you can. You're just going to have to pay a luxury tax. But are they just going to keep dishing out the money?
Well, the they you're talking about is Steve Cohen,
Yeah.
who does not care about a luxury tax. He's got all the money in the world and a winning mindset, which there's a big difference there. There are plenty of owners with a lot of money, none with the amount of money that Steve Cohen has, but also not a lot of owners with the winning mindset that Steve Cohen has. Steve Cohen has come into the Mets and said, I want to win a championship with the team that I own. And there's plenty of other owners that say, I want to make money in this business venture that I am a part of as owning this organization. I want to make the money, and that's how they go about their business. Steve Cohen's just like, I got a lot of money. I love baseball. I'd love to own a team, and I'd love to win with that team. And I think you're seeing that with him in the way he's going about things. He's just throwing money and hoping guys come play for his team. And they are.
Do you know what it feels like? It kind of feels like the Yankees of old. It's still a New York team, and it's like, we want a guy, we got the money, we're just going to throw it out there, and we think you should come here, and now it's happening.
Yeah.
Which is an interesting transition between the two New York teams.
Absolutely. And once they lost that money, right? Once they lost DeGrom.
Yeah.
And DeGrom goes to the Rangers. You have all this money that they were planning on giving to DeGrom, and it becomes, what do you do with that? How do you go about spending it? And they filled the void immediately of Jacob deGrom. And you start to ask the question, I think, of, well, is that the right move? Let's compare Jacob deGrom, and we can talk about him in a little bit. If you're the Mets and Jacob deGrom is getting 5 years, $185 million, or Justin for 2 for sure and 86, I know I am biased, but 5 years to a guy like Jacob deGrom, who, yes, when on the mound is the most dominant pitcher. But when he's on the mound.
Healthy.
And I can sit here right now and say, I hope for the next 5 years, and this is a genuine hope.
Yeah.
I hope for the next 5 years, Jacob deGrom takes the mound every 5th or 6th day and dominates. But is that likely? I don't know. He's also 35. He's older as well. So you're giving him 5 years, $185 million over a guy like Justin, 2 years, who's coming off of back-to-back years with him pitching, winning a Cy Young Award. If I'm Mets fans, you're never happy that your guy, Jacob deGrom, is out the door, but I wouldn't want to give him 5 for 185. That is preposterous, I think.
Thanks for watching. If you love Flippin Bats, swinging 3-0, or just talking ball, join us. Call us at 213-537-9339 with your questions. We have a weekly guest, and we have a lot of fun, so hit that subscribe button.